Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So last time, I finished the side bang here, and so now I was checking the diagonal, and I was going to go from there. Anyway, hello Vivi, how are you doing today? So yeah, just checking the diagonal here. For the most part it looks okay. I'm just seeing a little bit of stuff over here. But actually what I was seeing the most is in her eyes. Especially on those bottom eyelashes. Kind of looks like they're going to the right a little bit. So let's push them a little bit further to the left. Yes, her hair is on now. It's wonderful. And it's probably going to be on for a while, honestly. It's like if I take it off, it's just going to be because I need to check something. Although she's not quite normal, I don't have her back hair on. So, I still do have the back hair off. But pretty close to normal. Certainly closer than usual. Alright, there we go. That's much better. It's amazing how just a little bit to one side can make such a difference there. Let me double check to make sure the program didn't try to help me out and put things where I didn't want them. Okay, we're good. Yes, the path to some hair. Mostly hair most of the time. It's okay, it'll all get on there eventually. Alright, so now I can go in and start cleaning up the side bang a little bit here. Then I feel like once I can trust it here, I can just fix up the transition to the top view there. Well, there's just a few things that aren't lining up quite right with the diagonal here. And I do think the diagonal is probably the most important one. Because it's like when I compare it to the left or the top, I'm comparing it to something that I transformed, that I distorted in some way. But when I'm comparing it to the center here, this is just how it looked at the beginning. So I know that that view is absolutely correct. So I think it can give me some pretty good clues into how things should actually look. And where anything looks off, then, well, that's a sign that I gotta go in and fix it. Being an artist is hard. Gotta go fix all the things. It's alright, it's worth it. Get to have some pretty cool stuff at the end. So a lot of these were fairly small changes, but yep, I can already see them making a difference here. Gonna have to ask the mesh for its wisdom on this one. Let me see if I can describe what I'm seeing here. So it's in this line by her ear. If you watch it, it kind of goes up quite a lot more than a lot of the rest of the stuff around it. But figuring out exactly how it should move is, not always easy. So I'm gonna go ask the mesh and see if it has any ideas. See if it knows what to do here. And indeed, it did have some ideas. So I'll see if I can adjust accordingly. A lot of those things are difficult to describe, but if you look closely at how the triangles are moving, I try to keep the spacing relatively even in the direction of the point of the triangle relative to the, short part at the bottom, or the side, depending on how you want to describe your triangles, I suppose. Relatively the same. And that can often yield pretty good results here. Didn't quite get it here, but I think I at least have a good idea of what to do to fix it up. Just little things at this point. Okay, yeah, that's much better. I think that should be fine. Like, I see a tiny, tiny bit of twitching, but I think it's probably okay. I don't think I should let my brain freak out about that too hard. Okay, and since I'm trusting this diagonal a little bit more than I am the stuff over here, let's go ahead and line things up with how I have the diagonal here. Okay. So again, just looking at this area right here. That was the only area that I really felt like I needed to fix. Is it? Well, okay. There are some parts down there too, but I'll get to those in a second. I'm gonna start with this top part. Okay, so just gonna look closely at what's changing here. And if you want to join me in the intense staring, if you look right around here, you can see that the distance between these 2 points, just the width of the bang, gets much narrower as I push her head up. And if I'm taking this one as the correct, then I want the distance between these 2 areas to be about what it is up here. So that's how I make these kinds of corrections. Just gotta have a view you can trust first. This does mean that a little bit of her head is visible right there, which I might need to do something about. I will cross that bridge when I get there. One thing at a time. But I think that should be pretty easy to deal with, so I'm not particularly concerned. Should be fine. Yeah, and then other than this area down here that I haven't fixed, I think that this looks pretty okay in that area. Okay. Now let's adjust the top. Oh my. Okay, so when I look at the top here, it's like, watch the color transition here, just this big ol' area. You'll see that this purple starts getting squished into the white. See, it kind of gets squished in. So, if this is the correct one, I want the vertices throughout that area to be a little bit more spread apart. So all these guys need to come up, and that actually checks out, because these were not completely evenly spaced. So let's space them out a little bit better here. Okay. I think that should fix most of those issues. And indeed, I think it is mostly okay here. Got a little thing right there. That should be pretty easy to fix. Just gotta... And the point that I was talking about before of trying to get the angle of these triangles the same. You can see that there's like a shorter side at the bottom for these ones, and then 2 longer ones coming up to the point. I just gotta keep that direction relatively the same as it is in the other view, and it'll look better. It'll, be a bit more accurate, I suppose. Sometimes. That is the general idea of what I'm thinking about when I do these, and what I am looking for when I decide to go ask the mesh for its wisdom. That's the kind of wisdom that the mesh has. It knows whether or not the vertices are become further apart from each other or closer together or that kind of thing, and it can help me find the distortions that, for whatever reason, my naked eye just cannot. It happens sometimes. So yeah, that's the general gist of what I'm doing here. Meanwhile, where I live, it finally decided to stop snowing. And I'm glad, because, well, there was a lot of snow, and it was cold. It's okay, I was able to just stay in my house the whole time, so all that worked out, but unfortunately, my dad was snowed in, so my kids did not get to see Grandpa yesterday, and they were very sad. Oh yeah, normally it starts snowing in like mid-October. It was actually a bit later than usual this year. Where I live is cold. Overall, I like the snow, but I was just sad that my kids did not get to see their grandpa yesterday. The younger one doesn't really understand when the grandparents are supposed to be coming yet, so he didn't mind as much, but the older one, who is starting to understand the days of the week and when people come over on a weekly basis, was quite sad. So that was a bit unfortunate, but it's okay. I think she still had fun yesterday. She got to have a cupcake. She'd like that. Alright, there we go. I think that part is lining up. Honestly, though, the snow is kind of funny, because, like, in the area that I live, there's, like, it was maybe, like, ankle deep at worst. But, apparently, where my dad lived, I mean, he only lives, like, 20 minutes away from here, so I was surprised that it was such a big difference. But his was, like, I don't know, maybe shin, knee length. It was really high, apparently. So that's why he wasn't able to make it. His car wasn't quite buried or anything. He probably could have shoveled his way out, but it would have been hard. So I don't blame him for not wanting to come. It was just kind of unfortunate. It's always a little bit sad when the weather doesn't cooperate with you. Okay. So this is one of those things that's always very interesting, because before I started changing things, I thought that the transition from over here, from, you know, the center to the left looked pretty good. In this area, I'm looking at the area around the highlight here. And from here to up looked pretty good. But when I checked the diagonal, it did not look very good. It did not look very right. So I'm going to go fix that now, and then I will line everything up again. So the diagonal is actually giving me way more information than I ever gave it credit for. I did not use this technique very much with my personal model, so this is just something I was trying out here to see if I could make the turns a little bit more convincing. And indeed, it has a wealth of information here. So that is something I will have to keep in mind for the future. I think I used the diagonal a little bit with my personal model because I remember going down into the side and getting that head shrinking effect that's currently still even existing in this model. It looks very silly. Oh man. But, not quite as much. I don't think I looked quite as closely. See, this is why I look forward to making a version 2 of my model someday. Just taking all the things I've been picking up from doing all this and making something a little bit better than what I have right now. Fixing up some of the character design flaws that... and all of that. But I'm holding off until I have, well, for one, more time, and for two, there's just so many other things I want to make already, and I'm not so unhappy with my current model that I need to, like, fix it right now. I think it looks okay. I just always feel this when I start doing something new, and that I kind of slowly pick things up at the beginning, and then I just reach a point where suddenly everything makes sense. And then I start learning things very, very fast. And, I start noticing all the flaws and all the things that I've been doing up until then. And I just want to redo it all. I remember reaching that point with art. It was wild. Honestly, I don't even think I'm through that point with art. It's still wild. Who am I kidding? I just learn a new thing, go back and look at my old stuff, and I'm just like, man, if I had known that when I was drawing this, I could have made it look 100 times better. Self-improvement is terrifying. So that's why I say, it's like if you want to get started drawing, it's like your stuff at the very beginning is probably not going to look very good. But that's okay. Embrace the scuff. It'll be wonderful. Because it never really stops. You always keep improving. Just recognizing that where your work could have been better last year, or however long ago you're looking, is just a sign of how far you've come. So I say, don't worry about it. It'll be worth it. Okay. So I think that's looking a lot better now. I just need to get that little black line right here into place. And then I'll double check the diagonal before I go back and correct it in the cardinal directions. I'm still not quite satisfied with how it's connecting to this strand here. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out what's bothering me. I think it might be the angle here. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So it's like if I look at the original, it kind of comes down like this. Kind of, this shadow kind of goes parallel to the hair, and this is just the start of it. Whereas here I feel like it's really steep. And it does not run parallel to the hair like it should. So that just means I got to adjust this little angle somehow. Find the right combination of all these little vertices through here. Get her hair nice and smooth. There we go. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Does it look wrinkly? I can't tell. Let's ask the... Let's just check it. See how it looks while it's moving. It's a little wrinkly. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So yeah, there's just like a little bump right there. That's probably why I had it down here in the first place, but I need this line to be at a particular angle here. It needs to be like coming out like this. So it's kind of important that this vertex be somewhere kind of over here. Maybe I should consult the mesh one more time. Mesh always has good ideas. I think there looks okay. Let's check. No, I still see a little bit of weird movement. Okay, let's ask the mesh here. Mesh has got to have an idea for how to fix this, right? Okay, I think I see it. This needs to be up here. That's all. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that actually fixed any of the little distortion that I saw. Just think, it was just from one vertex being a little bit too low. That tends to be how this stuff goes. That's why it takes me so long to go through each little part. Okay, but I think we're good. So now I just need to line up everything with this upper left turn. Okay, so you can see that this area is becoming a little bit... Well... Okay, now I actually want to think about this for a second. Because it's like this follows... Like, it looks more similar here. But I kind of like how, with this particular turn, that the highlighted area here becomes a little bit larger. I think that effect actually looks pretty good. So maybe I can actually keep it. Let's find out. So I'm just going to pull this over here a little bit and pull these out. Separate them just a little bit to make this area a little bit wider. I'll line up mostly with the top and with the left head turn here. To kind of see if I can pull off that effect. And once I get that, like, I don't know, maybe 70% of the way there, I'll double check on the diagonal to see if it works. Because if it doesn't work, I just want to revert that change and go back to fixing the left head turn like I was expecting. Right now we're trying something. Gotta do some science. Okay, that's probably close enough. Yeah, I think this actually still looks pretty good. So cool, I can keep that kind of effect. Alright. Okay, so going back to correct that, and fixing some things up from some errors that I saw from looking at the diagonal, actually gave me an idea for how to make everything look a little bit better. That's why it's worth taking the extra time to try these things. So I'm just trying to find the perfect combination of everything right now. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I'll base this left head turn off of what is going on in the upper left. And so far they're pretty similar. Okay. I think all I really have to do to fix up the left head turn here is to make things a little bit wider. Just floof this out just a little bit here. Hope things don't get too lumpy. As you don't want lumpy hair, that would just be wrong. Okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. You can kind of see that when I tilt it up, that this shadow gets a little bit more prominent too, and I actually think that looks good, so I'm gonna keep it. Okay, and I think that looks fine. So we're good. Do I need to fix anything else here? Maybe just a little bit around the bottom there. I feel like it's kind of shrinking, kind of compressing inward a little bit. And to an extent, I think that's okay, just due to the nature of the angle, but not that much. I think the amount that I have there is a little bit strange looking. So I'll just go back in and floof that back out a little bit more. Make everything nice and extra floofy. So maybe something like this. Yeah, I think that's already a lot better. Alright, so let's compare it to the left and the top. See what I need to fix up here. Okay, so I think I can actually adjust this upper left a little bit more to line up with what's on the left. Because I was noticing that, like, the very, very tip of this got pulled in a little. So I can afford to pull that out a little bit further, make it a little bit longer, a little bit pointier. Yeah, I think that's good. That lines up with this. Yes, I think so. Alright, and then the rest is just kind of straightening some things out. And then it'll be on to more hair adventures. Because there's always more hair to work on, you know? It never really goes away. I'll never be through it all. It's like, look, we described this as path to no hair, but I think it's more like path to hair everywhere. Something like that. It just never ends. Okay. So. Yeah, I think we're lining up here pretty good. Lining up here pretty good. Lining up here pretty good. The hair leads nowhere. The hair leads in circles. The hair never ends. Let me actually just push the very end of this in a little bit here. I think it's a little bit too long. Yep, that's a bit better. And then I notice that it's wrinkling a little bit there, so gotta straighten that out. Not too badly, but enough that it'll bother me if I don't fix it, so here we are. Gotta go in and fix it. I gotta. There we go. Okay. Yes, eternal night hair. Let's go with that. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. So now I can start actually working on some other strands. But I think I've got the 3 hardest ones down. We did this one, we did this one, and we did this one. The bangs and the side hair are good. So now we can start going to the back of her head here. And someday if I'm lucky, maybe I'll even be able to put the strands in. The little tiny loose strands. I want to make sure I can see her chin when I'm checking these things. Because her chin kind of shows how much the head itself is moving. So if I can see the chin, then I can see whether or not everything is moving correctly relative to the size of the head. Okay. So I think I see where to get started here. We're just gonna pull all of this over here. So I think the next big step is gonna be this area, and I'll just work my right way around. Let's go all the way to the back. So yesterday I was happy because I was continuing to work on my illustration for the anniversary art contest, and oh man, it's finally getting to the point where I actually kind of like the way it looks. It takes a little while for that to happen with pretty much every illustration, so to an extent I just gonna have to trust the process. But when I looked at it today, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty okay. The head is too small, but it's okay. I can fix that. But everything is starting to come together, so I'm happy. There tends to be 2 points where that happens, and that once I kind of get the composition itself right, is the first one, and then it happens again once I actually start getting like things like body proportion right. But until then, it can be a little bit hard to work on, because I just look at it and just like, it looks so bad. And I'm sure no one would say something like that to me, but it's the way I feel when I'm working. That's why I say, to an extent, I just kind of have to trust myself and that I'll be able to come through. Because I normally do. But until that point comes, it can be a little bit rough. I think a lot of figuring out my art process was just getting to a point where I don't hate looking at it as quickly as I could. So once I reach that point, everything becomes so much simpler, and it's just pretty smooth sailing from there. So I'm trying something a little bit different for this part of the hair here. With as much luck as I've been having paying more attention to that diagonal here, I'm actually using the diagonal first to put everything in. And then I'm going to compare a little bit more to the left to right, or the left in the top and how things look there. So I think I'll use the diagonal to get started. Kind of figure out where some of these things need to go. The big thing that I'm noticing here is that rather than moving, right now it looks like the hair kind of in this area is just getting stretched. See, watch. Looks like it's just getting stretched. So I'm trying to move things around so that this way it'll hopefully look more like moving soon. Okay. So this is gonna pull most of this other stuff out here. I remember when I was cutting this, I redrew a bunch of extra hair over here so I could do stuff like this. And I'm glad I did. Thank you, past self. Your effort is appreciated. I am making great use of it right here. Maybe I should just use the brush, but that's okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. Like, some parts are still getting stretched a little further on, but that's fine. I'll fix that. Oh my. Oh, but it looks so much better like this. Did I just let it stretch over there? I did. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna be able to fix things up. Okay. We are gonna have a stronger left head turn when the time comes. I'd say it's exciting, but oh god, it means I have to redo all the hair over there. Oh no! What have I done? Oh, it's okay. It's for the best. This is why I say that I'm kind of reaching a point where the improvement is starting to come a bit faster. Because something has just started to make sense to me. And, I think that's where it shows. Okay, maybe it's moving a little bit too far to the left now. Oh yeah, that's where stuff like that shows. Just, I'm noticing things that I can do better before I even finish this one. I guess it's not too surprising. I've been at this for a few months now, so I guess it makes sense that I've picked up a thing or two. I'm really, really looking forward to bringing this into the tracking program, though. But I don't really want to do that until I actually finish the head turns. I don't think there's much point in doing it before then. Okay. Mostly good here. Imagine it'll take me a couple of tries to figure out where some of this should go. In fact, I'm actually going to ask the mesh for its wisdom once again. Oh my. Didn't actually realize that it was like that. Okay. So apparently I made these triangles just go like this. Wasn't expecting that. But, yeah, it does look better that way, so here we go. This is why you talk to your mesh guys. If you get stuck, you can just ask it. Ask it questions. Be like, why are my vertices panicking? It's like, oh, that's why the vertices are panicking. Makes sense. And then you can make them stop panicking and everything will be fine. Fear not, her hair is not actually on fire. Okay. And all of this stuff over here moving over is to be expected. It is just what I spent a bunch of time doing. So that should be okay. It's looking pretty okay according to the mesh. Yeah, when I turn the ears back on, it should cover the parts that look really bad, so... Hooray! They do! That means I don't have to worry about it. Okay. We'll see if I change my mind when I start putting physics on, but I don't actually think the physics in this area is going to be very strong. So I'm less concerned about that than I would be for several other areas. But because this part is just like tucked so tightly against her head, or at least it appears that way to me, I do not think it's going to move very much during the physics. So it's totally fine to assume that the ear will just cover it up. Okay, I think we're good. Before I start lighting things up, there's some squirming going on with this strand here that I want to fix up, just to make sure that I have everything over here correct. So I think these two kind of have to be fixed up together. Alright. Gonna do some very intense staring to make sure that I like this part. So the few things that I'm looking at right now, first, does the tip of this strand go where it should? Like, is it going a little bit higher? And currently I think the answer is kinda, but it looks weird. And then the second area was this highlight. Is this highlight going up? And the answer is no. It is going down. Which is probably why this entire area looks very strange. And probably why I want to make sure that all of this is working right before I declare this little area behind her ears done. So I'm pretty sure I did everything up to this highlight already. So I'm going to just assume that I am right, and I'll check that later. And I'll get everything below up a little bit higher to where I think it should be. I'm just going to do it manually rather than use the brush. I think in this context that'll actually be a little bit easier. So that this way I can start kind of making sure the strand is fairly smooth. It's a little lumpy there, but I'll fix it in a sec. Okay, there we go. And that should make a bunch of stuff look a bit less strange when I go to check it again. Because man, did that area get pushed down. It was like way far down. I was very surprised. It's like I know that I pushed some of the strands on the right side of her head here a little bit further down, just to compensate for the way her chin was tilting. But man, this one, it just got knocked really far down. Alright, so now I'm going to check for the tip and the highlight. Those are the areas that I'm staring at the most. And I definitely want to make sure the chin is in frame, so this way I can see how they're all moving relative to each other. I think I still want that highlight to be a little bit higher up. But otherwise, I think we're good, because I don't think it needs to move very high up, just because the back of her head is a little bit lower than the front over here. So I think as long as it just moves up slightly, that it'll look fine. And the parts, you know, even further down, like down here, can even have, like, the same vertical location. At least on the back of her head, I think I can get away with such things. We'll see when I get there. But for now, I think I want this highlight to be just slightly higher. So I'll move everything just a little bit higher up. Okay, so perhaps something like this. Didn't move the tip that much higher up because I thought it was mostly okay. Oh, is it moving a bit too far now? Did I overdo it? I think I might have. Yeah. Yeah, just a little. I think the tip of that is actually fairly okay. It's just everything else around it. Yep, a little bit too far. This time, I think I will use the brush to stretch it back out. That one, and pull it back down just a little here. I'm assuming that this probably tilts this way. It either tilts this way or tilts the other way. Maybe I should ask the mesh. Which way do you tilt? Okay, you do indeed tilt this way. Between these two vertices, I wasn't sure if this one was higher or if this one was higher. But, yep, it's this one. This is the higher one. And then I'll just space them all out a little bit better. That should get rid of most of the problems here. There we go. Need to clean it up a little bit, but I want to check it. Because, man, it was really high up before. Still is pretty high up. I think even... Yeah, I changed my mind. I think even the little top of the highlight is a little bit too high. Okay. Need a big brush for this. There we go, something like that, maybe. Yeah, still a little bit too high. This kind of thing is amazingly fiddly. Vertices are so picky. They always just want to be in like exactly the right spot, and they'll just squirm if anything is even slightly off. It's so unfortunate. But okay, I think I got it right this time. See, it's fine if it takes a couple of tries. It's like, as long as I keep trying, I'll always get it in the end. It's fine. It's just a matter of how long it takes. I think that's very true of the illustration that I'm working on for the anniversary contest here, just because, man, trying to figure everything out was actually pretty hard, and I did consider scrapping it and just doing a different idea. But, I did eventually figure it out. Just really had to go through all the past knowledge and think about it really hard. About what was and wasn't working. That is one thing that is pretty valuable to do as a beginner artist if any of you are looking to get started with drawing. Of just look at other people's pictures and really try to articulate what you like and what you don't. Because when the time comes to work on your own pictures, it'll help you spot certain things that you may like and may not like about your own pictures. So this way you can emphasize the parts that look good and hopefully either fix or just find a way to hide a little bit better the areas that you don't. This is incidentally how you develop a style. The style is just all about emphasizing the stuff you like and trying to ignore the parts you don't. Yeah, I think I want the tip to be just a little bit higher here. But I do have the highlight in the right place now. And that I am sure of. Makes sense, because some of these were a little bit far apart. So it makes sense that I'd want to make their distance between each other just a little bit more consistent. And that should hopefully get the tip to where I want it to be. So maybe something like that. Ooh, that might be a little bit too high here. Oh no. I think I overdid it again. Yep, just a little bit there. I mean, yeah. That's pretty high up. Okay. Take, what is this, like 5 or 6? I don't know. I lost count. See, this is another reason I like to do the roots early. Because not only do I have a part up there that I can trust, but the tips are kind of a pain. If I'm being blunt. So by getting the overall structure looking good, I can then just mold over the tips all day and it'll be fine. Because at least the hair will be looking good overall. And I won't just be complaining. Like I said, I think the most important part of my art process was figuring out how to bring the picture into a state where I like looking at it as quickly as possible. It's so much easier to work on once I actually like looking at it, so just gotta get there. And it's not free to get to that state. It is so very not free. It takes a long time and a lot of effort. Sometimes I'm working on the picture for several days before it gets there. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is that the highlights like up here and right here don't actually move upward. But I think that actually looks right, is the thing. So I'm kind of wondering, how do I reconcile, like, this part feeling like it's moving up, but this part not? So I think I might need to move these parts up a little bit higher in order to make that work. Like, I don't think I have to do it too far. Just enough to make the parts lower down look not quite as weird. That's the hope, at least, so let's try it. Let's see if that helped a little bit. I say this right after talking about preferring to do get the roots just right, so this way I have a spot I can trust, but, well, you know, in theory, and sometimes theory doesn't always work out perfectly in practice. Gotta adapt. Just how it is. Life is hard. So let's see, how is this? Back of the highlight is moving a bit too high, but I think the front is right. What controls the back of the highlight? Looks like a couple of things do. Okay, so that probably means I have to do a few shenanigans. But I can afford to do a few shenanigans, it'll be fine. Totally fine. Yeah, we're good. Alright, all that is already looking a lot better. And I'm just not gonna mind this strand right now. This strand is always the thing. I'll do that later. Much later. But it's okay, now I feel like I can see all of the potential issues with the hair behind her ears. So now I should be able to correct all that. And get all that exactly where it needs to be. See, that's why I wanted to get that strand before I declared connecting hair done. Ooh. Okay, and these little spots right here, where it looks almost kind of speckled to me, are actually moving a bit weirdly. You need to bring them down a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's much better. As always, it's just a lot of little things stacking on top of each other. Okay, so let's see, the areas that I'm looking at here, the dark area here, is probably the most important one. And then besides that, there's this part coming out here, and then this little shadow right here. Those are probably the three important areas. And I can worry about the areas a little bit lower after I get those. It's like I wanted to worry about these the first time through, just because it has the most texture, and if it's sliding out of the corner of my eye, it's going to be the hardest to ignore. So I kind of wanted to get that at least in a fairly correct spot before I started worrying about everything else. But now it is in a fairly correct spot, and it's not bothering me when I move it around. So I can focus on all these much more important areas. And I knew that I was never going to be able to get the strand into place until I had the strand in front of it, the one that I was just working on. I'll figure it out. After all, I can only do one thing at a time. So I gotta pick that one thing carefully. Yeah. I don't know, that's kind of a weird angle there. Not as bad as I thought it'd be, but I don't like it, so... Let's see here. It's always a bit hard to make things kind of turn the opposite direction to how they were drawn. That's why if you ever look at any rigging and cutting tutorials, they always recommend, like, tails and stuff, like cat tails or dragon tails or whatever tail you might have, to be drawn straight, like completely straight down, even though it looks kind of ridiculous. And because if you do it like that, it's easy to curve the tail, and then you can just have its like default state be curved instead of straight. And that's easy to do. But trying to uncurl a tail that's already been curved, ooh, that is not easy to do. That's why you just draw the tail straight, make the cat look freaked out, it's fine. You can fix it later. But make your life easy and just make things look funny at first. And then make it look better after. Honestly, I feel like that's a solid truth to just drawing in general. Not making the cat tail straight, but just make it look funny now so this way your life is easy and then you can fix it later. And that's basically the purpose of sketching. So if your sketch looks bad and it looks funny, like, that's fine. As long as you've figured out, like, the character's expression, their body language, and all that good stuff, you're gonna make your life easy later. Your future self will thank you. For investing the time to really figure out those details. Because once you have those details, even if your sketch looks funny, it'll be much easier to draw. I'm kind of hoping that my upcoming time-lapse for the picture I'm working on for the anniversary contest will show that, because man, do things look really funny at the beginning. Especially while I'm just flailing and trying to figure out the composition. Embrace the scuff, like I said. Alright, well I am starting to get hungry, but I think I've got a little bit more life in me. So I'm gonna try to finish this area of the hair before I go get food. I think I should be able to. It's almost done. I'm just trying to figure out where the very bottom of that shadow should go. Where exactly should I have it connect to the hair next to it? And I swear I just keep making it a little bit too high or a little bit too low. And I just could not seem to find the right spot. But it's okay, I fixed the curve here. That was the first step. Curve there is fixed. And I think it looks great. So it's just a matter of figuring out where it should connect to everything. I'm just fixing these triangles on the outside because they're bothering me. Okay. Like, sometimes you don't need a reason to fix things, just because it's like, those triangles are annoying. It's a good enough reason. It's definitely a good enough reason. Okay, this is pretty close. I think I did manage to get that shadow looking good. Actually, before I move on, I want to check this one right here. But I think that one was looking pretty good. Yeah, that one's fine. At most, I just might want to, like, push it in just a little bit right here. But otherwise, looks great. And then I think I just want to make this strand just a little bit rounder. Yeah, I think it's almost there. Just need to fix, like, the last couple of highlights and stuff, and just kind of straighten out this area. Make it a little bit less crunchy. hair should not be crunchy. Definitely not. And yeah, now I feel like I'm just all the way at the edge here, figuring out where everything should be connecting to the hair that it connects to next. And all is well. And I can line it up with the top and the left head turn tomorrow. We'll see how my future self feels about everything I did today, of course, as my future self is always much pickier than my present self. That's just kind of how it works out. She always seems to find a thing or two to fix up. But I'm doing my best to eliminate any problems my present self sees. So this way, my future self will have a little bit less work to do. Then maybe I can make fun of her for being picky less. No, I don't think that's ever going to happen. My future self is always very picky. Alright, I think that's looking pretty good. And then I can line it up with these other two. Doesn't look like there's actually that much to line up, though. Maybe a little bit on the top turn, but otherwise I think it's looking alright. But that will indeed be for tomorrow. And this is where I think I will end for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you could think of, feel free to message or at me on the social media platform of your choice, and I'll take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.